I had a baby as a result of an affair, and now his wife is reaching out to me. The author of the post is listed in the description. I, F, 26, had an affair with a married man, M, 42, a few years ago. I had no clue he was married when we first met and hooked up. I obviously looked him up on social media, and while he did have photos of his kids on there was absolutely no mention or photos of a wife at all. I found out that he was married about a month after we first got together, but he told me it was just a marriage on paper and that they basically lived separate lives and agreed to remain married for practical purposes until the kids were older. They owned a business, which she really ran and he was just financially involved in. I knew at the time that I probably shouldn't believe him, but I convinced myself it was true. I was in my early 20s and so attracted to him and I guess almost infatuated with him. He made me feel so good. I know now that I should have ended it immediately, but I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I was addicted to all of the attention he gave me, the great sex, the places he'd take me. I felt special. I was so naive. I got pregnant about a year into seeing him. I had always been so careful with preventing pregnancy, but during my relationship with him, I took stupid risks. I was so high in lust with this guy, it's embarrassing. The things he'd asked me to do, I'd say yes to almost anything, even when I knew it was a bad idea. I was in love with him, or I thought I was. I hadn't intentionally wanted to get pregnant. I would of course dream about being his wife and having a family, but I knew that wouldn't be a possibility while he had this arrangement with his actual wife. I didn't get pregnant on purpose with any intention of him leaving her for me, even if I wished that we could be a real, normal couple. I was surprised by how excited I was to be pregnant with his baby. I wanted that baby once I found out I was pregnant. The thought of carrying this baby of the man I loved was so special to me, but I knew he probably wouldn't feel the same. I told him I was pregnant, and he told me I couldn't keep the baby. I expected his reaction, but I was devastated, and it hurt me to my core that he didn't feel the same way I did. He offered to pay to make a whole weekend of it somewhere exciting, WTF, and to buy me something special if I'd just please get rid of the baby. He explained that he didn't want any more kids, and that he couldn't openly be a father to another kid when he and his wife were still pretending to be happily married to the outside world. I agreed to do what he wanted, and we made plans for him to pick me up and find somewhere out of town to go get it done. I was all packed the night he was going to pick me up, but I started to feel really scared and really unsafe about the whole thing. I took my bag and checked myself into a hotel to hide because I couldn't go with him. I texted him to say I promised to never contact him again, and to never name him as the father or go after child support if he'd promised to leave me alone. At first, he tried to sweet-talk me into doing what he wanted. When I didn't cave in, he said some very nasty things to me and that I essentially better never contact him again or show up at his door. I have a 2-year-old now. At times, it's been difficult, but overall, we are thriving as best we can. I've kept my word about not naming his as the father or requesting child support. His wife contacted me on social media. Well, she's his ex-wife now. She wants to talk to me. She found out about me and told me that she divorced him 6 months ago. She wants her children to know their sibling and for my child to know his siblings. That's weird to me. I haven't responded back to her yet. I am unsure about how to approach this. How do I respond to this? I wonder if I'm being selfish by not exploring an option for my child to know his siblings, if she's being genuine about that. If I was married and my husband fathered a child outside of our marriage, I don't think I'd feel the same that she does. Relevant comments before update. Comment 1. I didn't know he was married when we first got together. I acknowledge that I should have ended the relationship as soon as I found out he was married. I allowed myself to believe what he told me, which made it seem not so bad, like this was some sort of agreement he and his wife had. Emotionally, I was already hooked. I'm not making excuses. I wouldn't say I was happy to bring a baby into this situation. There was a huge mix of emotions. I felt like I was in love with him, so there was a part of me that was excited at first. That feeling soon died, but I felt that I loved my baby still. I tried to do the best thing that I could, which was to remove myself from his life and his family's life. I just wanted to be able to keep my baby and love my baby. I did not get pregnant on purpose. I wasn't on birth control. I had been on birth control when I was slightly younger and had a life-threatening health complications as a result. He knew I wasn't on birth control. He loved unprotected sex. I was stupid, and I agreed to do it. I would do almost anything he asked sexually. I tried to track my cycle and would tell him when it was probably not a safe time to do it. His wife isn't really what I'm afraid of. Whatever she'd want to say to me is probably deserved anyway, and more. Comment 2. He found out about the pregnancy before I ghosted him, and upon finding out I was pregnant with his child, there was absolutely no real discussion about what we were going to do. We were going to do what he wanted to do, and he had it all planned out. He threatened me by text and by phone calls and voicemails when I told him I was not going to go with him on this abortion vacation he had planned. I begged him to please not force me to do that, and he turned mean. I offered to never contact him again if he'd just let me go. After threatening me again about what he'd do if I didn't keep my word, he agreed. He has kept his side of the bargain and has never contacted me. Comment 3. I've been assuming that she found out about me in her own, maybe saw something on his phone or computer, and has probably known for a while before reaching out to me, if it's actually her. I get what some people are saying about siblings and such, but that man is not my child's dad. He is the dad of his older kids, but he's not the dad of my kid. I'm still young, and I hope to have more children one day, and those children would be my son's siblings. I hope to find a man who loves me and my son, and with whom I can have a legitimate relationship. I haven't been with another man since I ended things with this guy. I actually just went on 2 dates for the first time very recently. I'm not desperate to find a man right now, but I hope to find real love one day. Those people are not my son's family. He's 2 and they're old enough to drive. So I do think they're missing out on any sort of important relationship right now. I understand wanting to know your bio family, and I feel he can decide that later on when he's old enough to have a day. Depending on where we are at in our lives at the time, he might not feel a need to know those people. I don't plan to lie to my son about his conception, but I don't think we need to involve ourselves with the man's ex-wife and teenage children at this time. Update. I made a post 3 weeks ago, and things have only gotten stranger. I had an affair with a married man a few years ago. I regret it, and I will never do anything like that ever again. I knew it was wrong from the very beginning, but he captivated me. I was naive. I allowed myself to believe when he told me they were pretty much just married on paper for the sake of their kids. I got pregnant, and while he tried to talk me into getting an abortion, I ultimately decided to keep the baby. I have a 2-year-old little boy now. I promised this man that I wouldn't expose our affair, and I wouldn't formally identify him as the father or request child support. I did that because he was becoming very nasty about the whole thing, and I felt like due to the mess that I had created and the way I felt by the end of it, a clean break with no involvement with him would be the best thing for everyone. I moved back to where my family is, hundreds of miles from where he and his family live. About a month ago, his ex-wife reached out to me via social media, claiming they had been divorced for 6 months and that she wanted our children to be able to know each other. Now, their kids are teenagers, so I didn't really think they'd want anything to do with the toddler and the woman their father was having an affair with. It seemed odd to me. After posting here, I sort of decided that I wouldn't respond to her. I'd just ignore it. She just sent me the one message, so it wasn't as if she was badgering me about talking to me or meeting me. On Friday night, I decided to message her. I don't really know why. I think it was really just for my sake, so I could have the chance to apologize to her. I told her that I would be more comfortable speaking with her face to face, since I couldn't trust that it was really her. She said she understood. I was too nervous to meet her in person, but we did a video chat. I didn't know what to expect, if this was all a ploy just to unleash her fury on me or what. I mean, I'd deserve that. She wouldn't be wrong to feel that way. It was really her. She told me she discovered our affair when she found communications between the two of us after our relationship had ended. She told me I'm one of many women he had affairs with over the years, and she knew about somebody even before he met me, but she didn't divorce him at the time. Finding out about my child was the final straw for her. I told her I was sorry for my relationship with her husband and admitted that I knew he was married. She graciously told me she forgives me and that while she harbored a lot of anger towards me initially, she ultimately blames her husband. I'm not blameless, but she chooses to not hate me, essentially. She said she couldn't have said this 6 months ago or a year ago when she first found out about me, but she has moved past that. She still has anger toward him, in addition to many other emotions surrounding him. She started pouring out her heart to me about their 20-plus year marriage and life together, and it was very awkward because what do I even say? Her kids know about me and my son. She says they're very mad at their father. Somehow I don't think they're mad about the fact that he's not involved with my son's life. And why would they be mad about that? I would hate me if I were them. I told her with my son being so little right now, I don't really feel comfortable with him meeting her kids or being involved with their family. I feel unsure about it, and it's just not something I feel needs to happen right now. Then she told me her ex-husband was in a bad accident 2 months ago. He's fine now, still not allowed to return to all his normal activities just yet, but will be fine. He is probably the most physically active person I've ever met, barely ever seems to sit down, so he must be terribly annoying to be around if he's not allowed to go all the time. She told me he wants to meet my son. Apparently, she moved back in with him temporarily when he first came home from the hospital. She said the accident really shook him up, and he has been expressing a lot of regret about my son. Not being involved, not providing for him. So now it's like, was everything she said just a lie and he somehow got her to reach out to me on his behalf? And she actually did it? It felt almost like a relief talking to her initially, but then it's like, was any of that true or you were just trying to be his messenger? I don't even know if that part is true now. Why wouldn't he just contact me himself? I'm just feeling so uneasy about the whole thing now. Relevant comments. Comment 1. I don't believe I have to involve his teenage children in my son's life. Maybe when my son is old enough to decide if he wants that. He is not named on the birth certificate and I do not receive child support from him. I have asked nothing of him except to let me move away and not try to force me to have an abortion. I basically had to promise him to not contact him, not make him as the father, not request child support. If he truly wants involvement with my son, he can reach out to me directly and he can take the legal route to establish himself as our son's father. Comment 2. He did not legally sever his rights. He never established rights in the first place. He has no rights until he goes to court and establishes himself as the father. He is welcome to do that. Honestly, I wish my son did have a father who was involved in his life and loved him. Yes, this guy has faults, but he has plenty of positive qualities. He is really involved with his older children. I met them many times because they'd be at work with him or he'd have to drop by the office in his way to take them somewhere. He was always doing things with them. They seemed like good kids who really loved their dad. I wish my son could have that experience too. I didn't think it was an option based on how he behaved when I was pregnant. He wasn't interested and wanted me and our baby to go away. That's what I did, and I accepted it. Comment 3. He is not legally my son's father at this time. This means that currently he has no legal parental rights or responsibilities regarding my son. I cannot stop him from taking the legal steps to establish paternity if he wishes to do so. He will always be my son's biological father. I can't change that fact. Regardless of whether or not he ever legally establishes paternity, my son will likely be curious about his biological father, and who knows, maybe they will establish a relationship one day regardless of legal paternity. There is no way to say if I will meet a man who may want to adopt my son one day, thus becoming his legal father. It's something that I think would be nice, but nothing that I'm intent on doing. By choice, I've only been 1-2 dates since my son was born, and that was only within the year 2024. I realize that it will not be as simple as signing a piece of paper. Okay, next story. I didn't wish my mom a happy birthday, and then I didn't let her come to our house. I, 25M, have a wife, 24F. For the sake of the story, let's call her Amelia. Amelia and I got married 2 years ago, coming up to 3 years in June. We have recently just had our first baby, a beautiful baby girl. My mom never was a huge fan of my wife for reasons I will never know, but I don't care as I love Amelia so much, and I've had to defend her against my mom multiple times. My wife's labor lasted much longer than we expected. She started on Thursday evening and delivered our baby on Monday during the very early hours of the morning. As you can imagine, it was a long process, and she was exhausted, and so was I, as I wasn't sleeping unless she was asleep. My mom's birthday was on the Saturday, and she had a whole party planned out. Amelia, at this point, was in awful pain very consistently, meaning I was constantly by her side doing whatever she needed me to do, meaning that the Friday night, we got no sleep. So when Saturday came around, we both were fighting the sleep and could barely stay awake. Because of this, I just completely forgot it was my mom's birthday, as I didn't really look much at my phone, and if I did, it would be for entertainment for my wife and I together. We both agreed beforehand that when the time came, we would send the initial text that the baby was coming, but that would be it, and we wouldn't respond to any other text until after. Well, my baby girl was finally born, and we announced it to our family. Then I got to replying to my messages from the past few days, and that's when I saw my mom text about it being her birthday, and she sent a few more after, expressing her anger for me not getting in contact. So I called her up apologizing, but explaining that I genuinely forgot, and it wasn't intentional. She went on to blame my wife by saying she purposely went into labor right around her birthday in order to steal her spotlight from her son, which I found really weird to say. From this comment alone, I got annoyed and just told her to leave me and my wife alone and that she isn't welcome at our house for the next few days. She can't wait till she's over her fit to see her granddaughter. My whole family have been calling me an asshole and that I am a bad son for not remembering my mom's birthday, but I'm an even worse son for not letting her meet her grandbaby. It's annoying because all we want to do is enjoy our new baby together, just the two of us without anyone being a bother. So, Eta? Relevant comments before update. Is this the first time your mom has had issues with your wife? No, it's not. She tried to convince me not to marry my wife by bringing up her old Instagram with pictures of my wife and her ex, BF. The thing is, she's ruined every relationship she's ever been in, and that's why. She's always been toxic to my wife, and it's not something I can put up with. I've pulled her up on it, and she denies it. Why haven't you called her out on it before? I have, but she said something along the lines of, "I'm your mother, you don't get to question me," and went off. We slightly cut contact after that, but not enough apparently. More about Mom and OOP's siblings. She gave birth 7 times. IDK, she claims that she was able to go into labor whenever she really tried to do so, and accuses my wife of doing the same. But my wife was overdue anyway, so naturally, for all the time she was overdue, we were trying to start her labor, but never meant for it to fall on my mother's birthday weekend. She lost custody of 4 of my siblings. I don't know them. But no, they are both still teenagers and don't really understand anyone's side other than my mom's, because I don't know what she told my sisters. She's single, old, and lonely, and I'm starting to understand why. Small update in comments. I agree. I'm glad I made this post, as it made me realize just how much I need her out my life for my wife and baby's sake. This message means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I want my little girl to know how she should always be treated by the man or woman she decides to marry when she's older. I think me showing her that I love her mom by doing things to prove my love will be a great start. Uap has over 100 comments, and a lot of them are just really sweet comments about his wife and daughter and how excited he is to be a dad. If you need a smile, go look at those. Update. Hi, firstly, I wanted to say thank you to everyone for your advice, and it really made me realize how serious this situation is. I took the advice and decided to post an Instagram and Facebook post before my mom got a chance too. In the post, I mentioned what my wife went through and purposely left, in that she would never want to forcefully go through that, just to make it clear to my mom and family what the truth is. We announced that whilst we soak up our newborn, that uninvited guest won't be allowed into our home, so please respect our privacy as we take time as a new family. This worked, and I got a lot of friends and even some family commenting their congrats to us. My mom has since asked when she can see her granddaughter, and we have just said that she will see her when she fixes her attitude toward my wife, as my baby won't grow up to see her mother treated like she is nothing. Also the fact that my wife never deserved to be hated in the first place. We are going NC for now, and are as happy as we could ever be with our new baby girl. About my family, we have sent them a message with the full story, and now they feel really awful about everything. Originally, my mom told them that my wife got induced, and that she took some medicine to slow down the labor. I don't even think that medication exists, because apparently that's what I said on the phone, which is obviously not the truth. And my mom started claiming I did that to compete with her. My sisters are only young and didn't question my mom, but now have been nothing but supportive. That being said, though, I still have my guard up for now, just in case. Just some cute comments from OOP as a new dad. Oh, same, I rarely cry, and since the moment she was born, I have sobbed like 100 times. I cried waterfalls when I saw her for the first time. She was so perfect. It's the best when she falls asleep on me and I can just smell that incredible baby smell, and her little breathing is so perfect. I always thought I knew, but that feeling I felt when I held her for the first time was unmatched. I mean, it physically hurt when I held her because I loved her that much. Update. Hi, so I'm the guy whose mom claimed that my wife went into labor on purpose near my mother's birthday so that my wife could steal the spotlight. I forgot to text my mom happy birthday due to my wife being in active labor and being sleep deprived. We decided to go no contact after our baby girl was born. We only planned to do that for a little bit. However, it has been a whole year. My daughter turned 1 a few days ago, and it's just been the best year of my whole life. She's just perfect. However, my mom never stopped with her attitude she was giving us, meaning she still has not met her grandkid. It's been a whole year and she still claims my wife went into labor on purpose. My siblings that I do have contact with have met her and do adore their niece. My mom still follows me on Facebook. I don't have her blocked on there, but she's definitely upset that she hasn't met the baby yet. Her own fault. How do you like these stories? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.